On today's show, what is Cam Whitmore's NBA ceiling? Does he have what it takes to become a superstar in today's league? And what does he need to show us this next season? It's all coming up on today's Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Mondays. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's the number one way that you can help our show out, is to comment anything below the video. Just do a drive-by and say, Go Rockets. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you for being an everydayer. Joining us now is your weekly co-host, NBA draft enthusiast, and diehard Houston Rockets fan, Madison Moore. You can track down on Twitter at MadmanLeaks. Here is we're going to be talking all things Cam Whitmore, taking a look at what he can improve upon going into his second NBA season, what he proved to us, what he showed us during his rookie campaign. We'll tackle some of his strengths, some of his weaknesses, just talking all things Cam Whitmore right out of the gate. And Madison, I think that with Cam, he was a little slow going, right? Didn't join the team immediately, right? Spent some time at the G League, but similar to Amin Thompson, albeit in a slightly different capacity, Cam showed pretty quickly that he was able to be an impactful player, and that the number one thing that the Rockets drafted him to be able to do, which was to score the basketball, is very real. He is a certified bucket and can get it from anywhere on the court.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Cam did that was most impressive is he was an efficient scorer this year as a rookie. One of the hardest things to do as a rookie, when you come in as a rookie and everything's so fast, the 3-point line's further, everybody's faster, stronger, the defense is better. And the number one thing that's hard for rookies to do is efficiently score. They get better defensively. They get better in these other areas as you go on through. But Cam immediately hit the ground running with his 3-point shooting. He was really good when he first started getting minutes. He was really good, and he provided the spark that the Rockets really needed off the bench. They really needed someone who could initiate offense and get buckets off this bench. And Cam may not have been the best initiator, but he offered a bit of it that helped him. But most importantly, he was an excellent play finisher. He was an excellent shooter from deep who gave the Rockets offense and scored in bunches. And he was also excellent at moving without the ball and getting up and down in transition and really using his physicality to score at the rim. And so that was very encouraging to see a rookie come in and be so effective offensively and really hold the Rockets together in bench time minutes.
Averaged 12 points per contest, all coming off the bench. Well, he started 2 games out of his 47 that he played as a rookie, but averaged 12 points a game, grabbed just under 4 boards, dished out just under 1 assist per contest. That was a whole talking point. I remember going into like that final handful of games, everyone was talking about Cam's assist numbers, and then he had those final 3 games where he must have upped his assist app. In fact, you know what? I'm going to crunch these numbers real quick right now. If we go, because the final 3 games of the season, he had 4 assists, 4 assists, and 5 assists. So if I crunch the numbers, not including those final 3 games, he would have averaged only half an assist per game all season. He literally upped his average assists by 0.2. Not quite doubled it, but he almost, almost, point 50, whatever. Do the math on it. I don't know, but that, yeah, it was a little funny there to see him kind of rack up those assists in those final couple games. And there was a very realistic point where, I remember we were talking about it here on the show where when Jalen Green was at his worst this past season and Cam Whitmore was playing some really impressive ball as a rookie. I mean, there were some Rockets fans calling for Cam Whitmore to get more of Jalen's minutes or to start in place of Jalen, which says a lot about how Jalen was playing, but it also says a lot about how well Cam was playing as a rookie. You talk about the efficiency metrics. He had a 56% true shooting percentage as a rookie. Like, that's impressive stuff to be able to do. Again, the fact that the Rockets had not one but two rookies come in and find ways to be impactful in a team that had playoff aspirations, that had realistic expectations of, hey, we're playing at this level. We're not just rolling the ball out there. You're not just doing whatever you want to do like the Silas era Rockets. That's good stuff, and that's stuff that you can build upon. And I do think that both Cam and Amin benefited from being in this environment with Ime Udoka as the head coach, all that good stuff. What was more impressive to you, though, Madison, the three-point shooting or the finishing around the rim?
It has to be the three-point shooting. The NBA line is so much further than the college line, number one. We often see excellent shooters, top-tier shooters come into the league and struggle because the line is further. You have to get your muscle memory together. You have to get your routine together. And the season is so much longer, right? It's so much harder to become a professional and shoot that same shot over and over again. So it has to be the three-point shooting. That was a very pleasant surprise that Cam shot it so well. And you can just see the mechanics and the repeatability of his shot was just so smooth. And then you can tell that it's something that he can grow on and like build on further. But that was ultimately so impressive. But of course, the finishing was very good. He was able to knock guys over immediately, day one, going to the basket, man. It was, even though I feel like he had a grown man body day one in the NBA. I still remember being in the locker room in San Antonio after it was the first or the second Rockets preseason game in San Antonio, where we were interviewing Cam after the game, and Jae'Sean Tate shouts over, he's like, big old man baby or something like that, like a man child or whatever he said, just talking about, because that's what he is. He's only just now learning how to really utilize that size, that strength, and it's only going to get better from here on out. Yeah, man. He parries that power into. So he uses it so functionally when getting to the basket. He really knows how to use that body. And guys, he doesn't draw any charges. Like there's very few moments where Cam gets caught with charges because some of those guys can over-rely on their strength. And Cam's not that type of player. He often is trying to get side to side on you, but if you cut his side to side off, then he moves with power through you. And I think it's a really good ability that he has that'll always keep him in the games. When his shot is not going, Cam knows he can get to the basket and finish strong around the rim. And I thought his finishing was also superb this year.
Coming up, what is Cam Whitmore's NBA ceiling? What does he need to show us next going into his second NBA season? We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Look, passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. We're going to talk a little about Cam's strengths and weaknesses here, but it kind of branching into the bigger picture kind of topic is, what we think his ultimate NBA ceiling is. So let's tackle these strengths and weaknesses first before we kind of dive into that bigger topic of his NBA ceiling as a player. And Madison, when we look first at, I think with Cam, clearly he can score the ball. He's elite at that already. You've used this term before, and I fully endorse it. He is an elite play finisher. Mm-hmm. No questions about that. As far as that goes, though, the three-point shooting, I won't go so far as to say he's an elite three-point shooter, right? 36% on really good volume as a rookie. Maybe it gets better in his sophomore campaign. If he can get it up to that 38, 39, 40% range, then yeah, we can start tagging him as an elite shooter. I don't know if he does anything at a truly elite level just yet, but you see glimpses of it, and he's got all the makings and all the tools to be one of the premier scoring threats in the NBA. He's got the size, the physicality, the athleticism, the shot mechanics are all there. It's all there for him to one day be the type of guy that could one day lead the NBA in scoring.
Yeah, he definitely has all the things that you need, but he's still more one-track minded right now. Cam's biggest issue right now is when he gets the ball, he's either going to score or pass it immediately. He doesn't know how to read defenses. He doesn't have the handle to initiate offense.
We saw it during Summer League.
Summer League is still a struggle.
They very clearly told him, hey, we want to see you do X. And he kind of struggled at doing X, at being a primary initiator in Summer League, which is, that's fringe NBA competition. Those are, draftees, guys who have never stepped foot on an NBA court. And it still didn't look that great. Now, when he is able to be of that one-track mind, like if he's able to just focus on scoring, he's really good at that. And especially if he's got other guys teeing him up and he gets to just stay in his lane as that elite play finisher, then no problems there. And he's very good at that already as just a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, Summer League was a perfect example. We love to watch Cam when he was running on the wings with Reed Sheppard, and Reed Sheppard was setting him up for these exciting plays, these exciting dunks. But Reed Sheppard is also an excellent off-the-ball player, and we didn't get to see enough of Reed Sheppard catching open threes when Cam should have been the guy creating those opportunities for him. And I can't wait till we get to the day where Cam takes a screen, he gets doubled, and he reverses it back and goes and rescreens, right? Like that type of processing we're still waiting for Cam to unlock in his game. And if he's able to unlock those things, and this is what you were saying, I think in a previous episode where you're talking about Jalen or Jalen struggled, or last segment when Jalen struggled, many people wanted Cam to come start in place of Jalen. But what people didn't understand is, yes, Cam was an elite play finisher, but we still needed another guy as a secondary initiator, and Cam could not offer that. And we needed that in the offense. And so once Cam understands how to initiate offense and create for others, not just himself, and also get better at creating for himself. Because right now, he really just has a step back and a side to side power dribble forward straight to the rack. But he hasn't really have these several counters for when good defenders will start keying in on him. So once he learns how to get those type of things done, when he learns how to initiate, create for himself and others, then he'll be a threat to really, take a player's starting position and get into that starting lineup.
It's funny because right now Cam is kind of like almost, I won't say exclusive, but he's basically like a straight line drive. Yeah. Like that's what he is. It's like he gets the ball and it's just first step, go, all power, all gas, no brakes to the rim. and what's funny is it's going to happen. Like there's no, the defense knows that he's not waiting for a screen. He's not going to call a set. He is going straight to the rack, or he's going to go for that step back. And the fact that he's still able to be as efficient as he was as a rookie with that one-track mindset means that as he starts to layer in those counters, as he starts being able to do, ooh, hello. Well, we're just going to have this go off in the middle of the episode. That's incredible. Love that content programming. We're just going to hit OK deactivate right there, and hopefully my insulin pod will all shut up and everything. Anyways, back to the point that we were trying to make. Is it going to go off eventually? Please turn off. This is the most elite programming ever. I'm not even editing any of this out. Anyways, sorry for that, distraction in the middle of the episode. My insulin just wanted to, my little diabetes phone just decided to start yelling at me. All right. So back to what we were saying about Cam Whitmore. I can only imagine, right? Once he starts getting, he doesn't even look comfortable using a screen yet. Like that's the other thing is like, think about the opportunities for him just as a scorer, not even the evolution of him becoming that secondary creator, that dynamic offensive option. Just think about him being able to effectively use like a Steven Adams screen in the second unit and then get downhill without having to beat his defender one-on-one. think about all those different opportunities that are going to slowly be unlocked for him. That is what I'm really hoping to see, like, you know, growth wise from him is just starting to understand how to really work well with his teammates. And, you know, we know that his teammates can set him up when, you know, they're creating either in transition or in the half court. Talked about him being an elite play finisher, but just making opportunities easier for himself is going to unlock so much more for his game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely what we want to see for Cam. And Cam has all-star, superstar upside. He really just has to polish these areas of his game as well as the defense. I think there's some defense. He has all the tools in the world to be this defensive stopper as well. He can use his incredible strength and athleticism to play great one-on-one defense. We saw him struggle off ball early in the season and get a lot better at it later in the season. But we need those things to really come together in a way that really propels him forward into his ceiling. And that's when Cam will really start threaten the starting lineup, threaten guys like Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green, for those starting positions. And he has the talent to do so.
If he doesn't, and I do wonder, right, because the handle is going to be a big part of it, right? We talked about him not having, you know, counters offensively right now. I think that he has, I think, multiple pathways to still being an all-NBA caliber player. Even if the handle doesn't ever fully develop, he just becomes more of a wing than a guard, I think, at that point. Yes. Because it's almost like, you know, a lot of people like to make jokes about Jaylen Brown not having the offhand, but like, realistically, like that could still be an upper end outcome for Cam Whitmore. Is if he never develops the handle, who cares? He's already still insanely efficient. He doesn't even need the handle to do what he's doing now. He could just add, you know, just become a little bit more of an efficient scorer, right? Up the volume, give him more usage, and you could see a world where he's averaging somewhere between 20 and 25 points a night. Even if he doesn't add anything else left to his game, he could just scale up his usage right now.
Yeah, he can scale up his usage, but I think in order to be an all-star caliber player, he has to at least play two ways. And so I think the Jaylen Brown comp is a great comp for him. And that's something he could do. I feel like if not next year, the year after, if he could he'll just be an efficient scorer. But if he parries that with elite one-on-one defense, real ball stopper defense, then you're mixing with some all NBA type of guy. Even without the shot creation, he'll let Alperen Sengun, and we have a lot of great creators on this team, and we know that he's this incredible finisher, already play finisher. But with Alperen Sengun, you already see the chemistry he has with Reed Shepherd. You always we're hoping that Thompson can initiate offense. Jalen continues to initiate offense and get better at that. He will have a lot of opportunities to let those guys be the initiators, and he just be this this high wire finisher with incredible defensive acumen. But I think he needs to add that defense as well if he's not going to play make.
Yeah, realistically, when we're talking about like what his ceiling ultimately is, I don't think anybody should be holding their breath. I don't think he's ever going to be like your true primary initiator. I think we would have seen some glimpses of it by now. And I think I remember looking when we were doing like his pre-draft profile and everything, we were talking about him as a player. You know, we had some hopes, some aspirations that, you know, he was the type of guy that could break down a defense and could get into the paint area and attract, multiple defenders, 2 and 3 guys being sent after him. And, his ability to still finish through contact and finish through traffic and all those things, we kind of projected and thought, man, once he learns how to kick out of those situations, once he learns how to collapse a defense and then make that read and kick it out to guys, we just, haven't seen it much, if at all, yet. And I feel like even like going back to like Jalen's rookie year, right? We saw flashes of the passing. And the fact that we haven't seen those flashes yet does give me a little worry that I just don't know if that's ever going to be there. And if that one track mind is all he is, he's still going to be a very, very good player. I think the ceiling is probably still somewhere in that starting caliber wing role, but you also see a future where Cam could just be a really elite scoring bench presence at his worst. Like that I think is his floor. Like his absolute floor is going to be
he's already that.
6-man material. Year in, year out, 6-man material. Plug him in, let him go to work, basically.
Yeah, no, I think Cam's already pretty close to that, and he's just going to up his intensity even more as his minutes come up. But I like what you're saying about that. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of flashes, but I do think Cam, the assists that Cam has had have been some pretty I feel like highlight assists.
He gets a little flashy with he had
he gets flashy,
he had a little
man.
behind the back pass at one point last season where he puts a little sauce on it, almost to the point where you see it and you're kind of thinking maybe he does have it in his bag. Maybe he just chose not to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he just, sometimes I see him, I make a cross court skip and I'm like, where did that come from? You know what I mean? Maybe it didn't generate an open shot, but I have seen him do little bitty things, just not in a way that, it really reminds me of Carmelo. Carmelo Anthony, never really initiated offense, but every now and again he'd throw a no-look dart to a postman and they score. But he was never the guy that really helped his team in that manner.
Carmelo now that you say it, Carmelo is a really interesting kind of comp for Cam a little bit. You think about the way you think now Carmelo did operate out of the mid post a lot. That was his favorite, the little mid-range jab step, triple threat, everything. That's a little bit different than how Cam approaches the game. But it's also, different eras, modern day NBA, all that stuff. But that is an interesting comp for just the type of ceiling or the type of offensive presence that Cam could have somewhere down the line on a contending caliber team. But what we want to tackle next is, what does Cam Whitmore need to show us this upcoming season? What do we want to see out of him? What are the next steps forward for him on this Rockets team? We're going to get there in just one moment. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, Madison, when we take a look at this upcoming season for Cam Whitmore, obviously he's going to be coming off the bench with a handful of, at least projected to be coming off the bench with a couple other young guys. Reed Shepherd likely going to be getting a lot of the backup point guard minutes behind Fred VanVleet. Thompson's going to be in the mix. Tari Eason, on track to be healthy and back in the mix of things as well. So that's essentially, you got one rookie, 2 second-year guys, effectively kind of 3 second-year guys with Tari Eason, who basically missed 75% of his sophomore campaign this past year with the leg injury. That's a lot of young pieces all coming off the bench at the exact same time. For me, I'm very curious to see how Ime kind of staggers these lineups, because I don't think we're going to see any hockey kind of line switches where it's all 5 guys, because that's a lot of youth to have out there all at the same time. I know that we saw Reed Shepherd and Cam Whitmore establish a really quick connection, but I'm curious to see how Ime deploys Cam Whitmore this next season.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see as well. The lineups will be, key here. But the good thing about it is I think all these guys can play together. I mean, even watching Cam, Amon, and Jalen play together last year in the small stints, they were just electrifying offensively in the open floor. And I think the key to what MA is going to preach this season is pace. I think we're going to increase the pace so everybody gets the ball, everybody gets opportunities, and it can be and we can really leverage how young this team is, how disruptive they are defensively, and really help them and make the game very fun for them, because a lot of these guys are very talented. They deserve opportunities on the floor, and then they won't all get those opportunities. But if we're up and down, getting dunks, getting easy buckets, playing defense hard, and really sharing the ball and making plays for one another, we'll win, and everybody will get a piece of the pie. So I think, I think Cam's going to be able to fit in many different lineups, so it really doesn't matter. But as long as everybody is at least getting a taste of those minutes, I think they'll be fine.
And a lot of this, we discussed this in a recent episode, right? Is this upcoming season, it's kind of a make or break season for Jalen Green. That's a big opportunity for Cam Whitmore too, because if Jalen Green does not come out of the gate strong, then Cam is the immediate, contender to take those minutes from Jalen Green. So that is something where, off the heels of a really impressive rookie season, if Jalen starts kind of struggling, he's going to be probably the first name tapped to start, to increase or siphon off some of those minutes. We talked about it in a previous episode as we were kind of tackling Thompson, and expectations for him and everything, and areas for him to improve, and what we're looking at next season for him. Amen's going to be able to kind of maybe siphon some of those Dillon Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr. minutes, depending on how those guys are playing. But Cam Whitmore is right there for the Jalen Green minutes. So those are your 2 guys at the 2 guard spot. Now, we've kind of talked about this a little bit over the course of this episode, but what is the number one thing? What does Cam need to show us this next season, Madison? What do you want to see out of him most for this next season?
Offensive initiation. Cam has to start to begin to get more reps in the pick and roll, show that he can not only create for himself, but create for others. And we just want to see flashes, right? Just like I think he took a half step forward in Summer League, but Summer League really showed how far away he is from that, from actually doing that. So, I'm holding my breath. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think Cam understands that this is what this team needs. It needs another secondary, tertiary initiator. Fred VanVleet won't be here for long after this. And if he can do that, he can really vault himself into the starting lineup in a different tier player, right? And so he has to continue to work on finding the open guy, working the pick and roll, working the pocket pass, right? Just simple stuff like that. Just become a better pocket passer. You know what I mean? And cut off of that. Those type of things will really serve very well. And the other thing, Cam didn't really shoot it that well in Summer League. Now, that's a small sample size, but I'd like to see him maintain, if not maintain, increase his three-point percentage next year.
I think for me, I'm going to scale it back a little bit even further than what you did. I just want to see him be able to make the reads once he makes his move. Because, again, we talked about him having the one-track mind. Score or bust, basically, at times. And the fact that he's still able to be efficient and do it at a high clip is already impressive in and of itself. But my number one thing for him is going to be, I'm not even going into it with the expectation of him initiating offense, because let's be realistic about it. The Rockets are going to have a lot of offensive initiators this next season. They'll have Fred, they'll have Jalen. Those are two guys. They're going to have Reed Shepherd. Aaron Holiday's still there, even though he's going to be kind of your third string guy a little bit. They're also going to run a heavy dosage of their offense through Alperen Sengun. And we're also hoping that Amin Thompson starts to take that next step as a primary initiator. That's a lot of mouths to feed. That's a lot of guys to have the ball in their hands really running the Rockets offense. Now, I do think down the line for Cam to approach or reach that superstar status, that ceiling that we talked about in segment 2, absolutely, he's going to have to add that to his game. But for me this next year, I just want to see him be able to make those reads when he collapses the defense, when he beats his man off the dribble. Sometimes, he'll elevate and power through two defenders at the rim, and he gets this insane finish. You're like, how the hell did he even do that? But he's doing that, and then off in the corner, there's a wide open 3-pointer. So it's those reads that's the next step for him. Is I just want to see him be able to not have the blinders on, not have the tunnel vision when he's trying to score the ball. And if he can unlock that, then he can still be in that role and in that mindset, that kind of that attack mode mindset, where he gets to just still be an elite play finisher, but also looking for those opportunities to involve his teammates without necessarily being the full-blown offensive initiator, right? Because I do think Summer League showed that is still probably a ways away for him. It's something that he's going to have to work on. And knowing that this Rockets team is looking to, make the playoffs this next year, build off their 41-41 season, I don't know if there's going to be enough really reps offensively for him to practice that. It's going to be something that's going to have to come with time.
Yeah, I really love how you put that. And I think we start to see some of that with Cam in Summer League. Keep your head up. Try at least be looking for the next guy, right? I think that is a more realistic point of view to look for Cam to have next year. I completely agree with you. And one last thing that I'd like to see from Cam had some very, very impressive one-on-one defensive tape. It flashes, not just last season, but also we saw some in the Summer League when he gets after it, he can be truly disruptive. And I think that is a weapon that Cam can really weaponize this year, especially with all the mouths to feed offensively, minutes to be got, people are going to be fighting like dogs over minutes, and he's going to be fighting with some defensive aces. Right. And so if he can prove that he's just as effective defensively, which he has the tools and athleticism for, but parry that and combine that with his offensive finishing skill set, which is, further ahead of the other young guys, I think Cam could really start to separate himself. So I would like to see more defensive consistency in his off-ball movement and more intensity and better on-ball defense.
What do you think Cam Whitmore's ceiling is as an NBA player? What are your expectations? What do you want to see next out of Cam Whitmore? Let us know in the YouTube comments. Madison, you know the drill. Let everybody know where to track you down at.
You can find me on Twitter at MadmanLeaks. Come talk Rockets basketball and NBA draft.
That's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Rockets. As always, thank you so much for checking out the show. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, a 5-star review helps us out a ton. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.